Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to cover in today's part, but before we do that, we gotta shout out the patron as always. So Dylan Ijibima, thank you very much for your support over on Patreon, and I'm sorry if I didn't quite pronounce that correctly. But as always, guys, don't forget to drop a like and a comment so that way we can fuel the algorithm and help this video get to a larger audience. And if this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload from the channel. Now, I know this part took a little longer than I initially promised, but let's not wait any longer. And let's get into What If Ash Won the Pokemon World Championship Season 5, Part 4, the Ultra Sun and Moon Journeys. I hope you enjoy. The golden hues of the Alolan sunset paints the sky in a breathtaking tapestry of orange, purples, and pinks as the waves gently lap against the shore. Ash sits cross-legged on the warm sand, his trusted companions Pikachu and Lucario by his side. Pikachu's ears twitched as he nibbles on a piece of masala, while Lucario's aura sensors pulse faintly, sensing the turmoil within Ash's heart. The boy's gaze is fixed on the horizon, but his mind is far away, lost in the labyrinth of thoughts about the events that had unfolded in Ultra Space. It has been a week since those events, and it has been a whirlwind of chaos and heartache. Pierce, the mysterious and ruthless figure, had even captured Necrozma, Lunala, and even Nebby, the very beings tied to the life force of the Alola region. Without them, the balance of the islands felt fragile, like a thread is about to snap. Ash clenches his fists, the weight of the responsibility pressing down on his shoulders. He has no idea where to start, but he knows one thing is certain. He can't give up. Not on Nebby, not on Alola, and not on the promise that he made to protect them all. As the sun dips lower, Ash's mind drifts back to the night that they had returned from Ultra Space. The comforting glow of Professor Kukui's house had been a stark contrast to the darkness that he had faced. Ash, Go, Professor Burnett, and Kukui had all gathered around the table, their faces illuminated by the soft light of the room. Ash's little brother Lei giggled as he played with the Pokemon scattered across the floor. Melmetal, Dartrix, who seemed to have adjusted to its new evolution, and even the mischievous Naganadel, who had taken a liking to the toddler. The scene was warm and familiar, but the conversation was anything but. Burnett leans forward, her expression serious, as she shared the discoveries they had made in Ash's absence. At the altar of the moon, she explains, her voice tinged with awe. They tell a story even older than the tale of the Blinding One. It's about invaders who came to the Alola region long ago, seeking to steal its light. Ash and Go exchange a glance, their minds racing. Invaders? Ash asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Burnett nods. They came with the power of giants, but with the first kahunas of Alola and the help of the Island Guardians, they managed to stop them and sink their armada. The room falls silent, the weight of this revelation hanging in the air. It's then that Ash pulls out his Rotom phone, showing Burnett a picture of the mysterious Melmetal box. Have you seen anything like this, he asks. Sonia in the Galar region thinks Melmetal may be coming from these boxes. We found them in multiple regions now, especially across the Galar region. Burnett's eyes widen as she studies the image. I'm afraid I haven't, she murmurs. Go chimes in, his voice steady but urgent. Everywhere we go, we hear stories about an ancient army that tried to invade other parts of the world. It's like they were searching for something. Kukui crosses his arms, his brow furrowed. But what does that have to do with Melmetal? He asks, gesturing to the mythical playing happily with Lei. Go takes a deep breath before explaining their encounter with Calyrex in the Crown Tundra. Calyrex told us that Melmetal was created by humans, as weapons. The room grows heavy with unease. Burnett continues, her voice trembling slightly. We thought these stories were just legends, until a few weeks ago. A massive storm hit Alola, stirring up the seabed. Afterward, reports came in about sunken ships off the coast. Ships unlike anything we had ever seen. They weren't from Alola. Ash's heart races as Burnett reveals the final piece of the puzzle. A strange crystal was found on one of the ships, emitting an unstable and foreign energy. The Aether Foundation has taken it to the Aether Paradise for safekeeping, but the mystery only deepens. What was the crystal? Where did it come from? And how did it connect to the Melmetal boxes, the ancient army, and the invaders from Alola's past? Now, as Ash sits on the beach, the pieces of the puzzle swirl in his mind like the tide. The sunken ships, the Melmetal boxes, the crystal, Calyrex's story. It all had to be connected. He can feel it in his bones, but without finding Melmetal's box, the mystery will remain unsolved. Images flash through his mind. Nebby's playful eyes, Naganadel's fierce determination, Poipol's mischievous grin. He has made a vow to save them, and he wasn't about to break it. The resolve burns within him. A fire that Pikachu and Lucario can feel as clear as the ocean breeze. The energy of Alola seems to flow through them, bringing them together in their shared purpose. Unbeknownst to them, a pair of glowing eyes watch from the shadows. Tapu Koko, the mischievous guardian deity of Melemele Island, observes the trio with a mix of curiosity and anticipation. The electric aura around it crackles faintly as it's preparing for the next challenge it has in store for Ash. The trials are far from over, and the fate of Alola hangs in the balance. However, Ash simply stands, brushing the sands off of his clothes. glows. The sun has nearly disappeared, leaving the sky awash with twilight. He looks at Pikachu and Lucario, his determination shining in his eyes. "We're going to figure this out," he says, his voice steady, "no matter what it takes." Pikachu nods, its cheeks sparking with electricity. "Pika," he cries, his voice full of resolve. Lucario lets out a low growl of agreement, its aura slightly pulsating. As the trio turn to leave the beach, the first stars begin to twinkle in the Alolan sky. The journey ahead will be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but Ash knows one thing is for certain. He is ready to face whatever comes next, for Alola, for his friends, and for the light that bound them all together. As Ash and his Pokemon walk down the beach, the scene shifts to a dimly lit rocket base, where the air is thick with tension, and the faint hum of machinery echoes in the background. Meowth, the ever-resourceful and sharp-tongued Pokemon, is deep in preparation mode. Its claws are busy tinkering with a small, high-tech device, a gadget designed to hack into the Aether Foundation's secure systems. The stakes are high. Meowth is determined to uncover what Pierce, the mysterious rocket executive, was searching for within the Foundation walls. The information could be the key to locating Jesse and James, who have mysteriously vanished, but as always, nothing is ever simple for Team Rocket. The room is alive with bickering. Marini, the mischievous and clingy poison type, and Mimikyu, the eerie yet fierce loyal ghost type, are locked in a heated debate with Meowth, the topic, who gets to join the infiltration mission. Marini, with its usual stubbornness, insists on tagging along, clutching its newly found obsession, the coral-covered box it claims as its own. Mimikyu, meanwhile, stands silently, but ominously, in its ragged Pikachu disguise, twitching as if to say, "I'm coming too, whether you like it or not." Meowth, exasperated, tries to reason with them. "Listen, this ain't no field trip. We gotta be stealthy, and you two ain't exactly subtle." But Marini isn't having it. With a defiant clamp, it latches down on Meowth's head, its grip unyielding. Meowth flails, trying to pry the poison type off, but Marini's message is clear. "I'm not letting go, and neither is this box." Mimikyu, ever the opportunist, lets out a low, eerie chuckle, cleverly amused by the chaos. Beware, the lovable, oblivious powerhouse of the group watches the commotion from the corner of the room. Unfazed by the drama, it's busy preparing a spread of delectable treats for them. Berry tarts, poffins, and a suspiciously large bowl of noodles. It hums a cheerful tune, clearly unaware of the mission's urgency. Meowth shoots at a glare, but there's no time to scold the fluffy giant. The clock is ticking. Finally, Meowth throws its paws up in defeat. All right, you win. But if we're gonna do this, we gotta move fast. Marini, Mimikyu, grab whatever you need and meet me back here in 5. And for crying out loud, leave the box. Marini responds by clamping down once again on Meowth. And as the Scratch Cat groans, it realizes this is a lost cause. "Fine, bring the stupid box. But if it gets us caught, I'm blaming you." As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the team gathers at the base's exit. The night is perfect for their mission. Dark, moonless, and eerily quiet. Meowth adjusts its gadgets, its eyes narrowing with determination. "This is it, team. We sneak in, find what Pierce was after, and get out. No funny business. No distractions. And Marini, let go of me." With that, the unlikely trio sets off into the night, their silhouettes blending into the shadows. Marini clings to Meowth, the box wobbling precariously, while Mimikyu floats silently behind, its disguise rippling in the breeze. The Aether Foundation looms in the distance, its sleek, futuristic architecture glowing faintly against the dark sky. Unbeknownst to them, the mission will test their teamwork, their wits, and their ability to survive each other's antics. As they approach the Foundation's perimeter, Meowth can't help but to mutter under his breath, "Why do I always get stuck with the crazy ones?" But deep down, it knows this ragtag team is the best shot of finding Jesse and James, and maybe, just maybe, uncovering the secrets that could change everything. The night is young, the stakes are high, and the chaos is just beginning. This is where we jump forward a week, since the day that Ash had his moment of reflection, staring out into the horizon of Alola. The sun-drenched species of the region offer a much-needed respite for Ash, Go, and their Pokemon. The warm, salty breeze carries the sound of laughter and playful cries as the Pokemon scatter across the sand, each group finding their own rhythm in the tropical paradise. Lucario, ever the disciplined warrior, has formed an unlikely bond with Lycanroc and Incineroar, the trio sparring and trading techniques under the shade of a palm tree. Meanwhile, Gengar, Dragovich, and Arctozolt are living their best lives, goofing around with Dartrix and the newly rehomed Naganadel, and its tiny companions, the Poipole. The Ultra Beasts seem to have settled into their new environment, their otherworldly presence blending surprisingly well with the laid-back Alolan vibe. Ponyta, with its shimmering Galarian mane, prances happily along the shoreline, its hooves kicking up sparkling sprays of water. The contrast between Galar's rugged landscape and Alola's vibrant sun-soaked beauty has been a welcome change for the glittery steed. Nearby, Melmetal and Golurk are engaged in what can only be described as a friendly giant-off, their metallic and earth-bound hides echoing across the beach as they playfully wrestle and toss each other around. And then there's Raboot, the ever-loyal companion perched stoically beside Go, refusing to stray too far from its trainer. Drizzile, on the other hand, sits sulking in the shade, still brooding over its failure to evolve into Inteleon. Its moody demeanor is a stark contrast to the cheerful energy of the others. Even it can't crack a smile when Ponyta trots by, nudging it playfully. As the Pokemon enjoy their downtime, Ash and Go sit side by side on the sand, their conversation turning to the future. They came to Alola with a mission, to uncover the secrets of Melmetal's mysterious box, but their leads have all dried up. Ash, ever the optimist, suggests that they explore the ruins at the Altar of the Moon. If what Professor Burnett said is true, he says, his eyes gleaming with determination, there still might be something they missed. Go, however, is distracted. He's been waiting for a new trial mission from Project Mew, but his Rotom phone remains frustratingly silent. I thought I'd have one sent by now, he mutters, letting out a sigh. Ash tries to reassure him, but before they can say anything, a familiar voice cuts through the air. Well, if it isn't the dynamic duo, Gary Oak smirks as he strolls up, his trademark confidence on full display. Ash is surprised, while Go's face immediately sours. Gary has a way of getting under Go's skin, and it doesn't take long for the tension to rise. Gary explains that he's been sent to Alola on a mission to gather information about the Ultra Beasts at the Aether Paradise. It's here that he learns that Ash has an Ultra Beast of his own in Naganadel. Gary's curiosity is automatically piqued, so he pulls out a device and begins cataloging Naganadel, preparing Ash with questions about their adventures in Ultra Space. Ash fills him in on their battles with Team Rocket's Pierce, the capture of Nebby, Necrozma, and Lunala, and their promise to restore the Ultra Beast's home. Gary listens intently, a rare moment of seriousness crossing his face. Well, if anyone can pull that off, it's you, Ash, he says with a hint of respect in his voice. But the moment doesn't last long. Gary, ever the provocateur, turns his attention to Go. So how many trial missions have you completed, Chaser? He asks in a tone dripping with sarcasm. Go's face flushes as he replies through gritted teeth. 2. Gary chuckles, clearly enjoying the reaction he's eliciting. Steam practically pours from Go's ears as his frustration boils over, but Ash steps in, reminding him not to let Gary get to him. That's just how he is, Ash says with a shrug. Go knows Ash is right, but it doesn't make Gary's jabs any easier to swallow. However, before the tension can escalate any further, Professor Kukui arrives, his usual cheerful demeanor intact. He asks if Gary found his way to the house alright, and Gary confirms he did, though he's already itching to get moving. As he prepares to leave, he tosses one last jab at Go. You should stop by the Aether Paradise in the next few days, he says with a smirk. Maybe if you ride the coattails of an oak, you'll finally get that last trial mission. Go's face turns beet red, and Gary walks away, clearly satisfied with himself. Ash tries to reassure Go again, but the sting of Gary's words linger. Kukui, sensing the need for a shift in the mood, claps his hands and tells Ash and Go to gather their Pokemon. It's time, he says with a grin, for Ash to start embracing his role as the champion of Alola. Ash's eyes widen in surprise, but before he can ask what Kukui means, the professor gestures towards the horizon. A boat is approaching the shore, its silhouette growing larger against the setting sun. The question hangs in the air, unspoken but palpable. Who is on it? Ash and Go exchange a glance, their curiosity piqued. Whatever or whoever is coming their way, it's clear that their peaceful week in Alola is about to take an exciting turn. This is when the scene shifts over to the bustling Aether Paradise, a floating sanctuary of science and conservation, where the air is thick with the hum of activity. Burnett, Wick, and Faba are all deeply engrossed in their respective tasks, their faces etched with determination and fatigue. The paradise is a hive of relentless effort, tracking elusive wormholes, welcoming new Pokemon refugees, and decoding the ancient mysteries of the Altar of the Moon. There's no time to catch their breath. Even Burnett, juggling her research and motherhood, has to alternate days with Kukui to care for their energetic son, Lei. It's here we find Burnett in her lab, surrounded by stacks of research papers and glowing holographic screens. Lei plays contently on the floor, his laughter a rare moment of lightness in this otherwise tense atmosphere. Burnett is poring over a fresh batch of data from the Altar of the Moon, but her focus is interrupted by a reoccurring problem. Over the past week, something has been triggered the security system protocols, forcing the system to shut down repeatedly to prevent data loss. It's a frustrating setback, and Burnett is determined to get to the bottom of it. This is when Gary Oak arrives, the confident and ever-charismatic Pokemon researcher. He strides into the lab with his trademark swagger, thanking Burnett for inviting him to the paradise. Gary's here for one reason, to access the Aether Foundation's extensive data on the Ultra Beasts. Burnett assures him that the security issues won't interfere with his research, though she admits that the system is currently rebooting. She then suggests that they head over to the other side of the facility to dive into the data Gary needs. With Lei in her arms and Munchlax trailing behind, Burnett leads the way out of the lab, Gary following closely. As they disappear from view, the camera lingers, revealing a familiar trio lurking in the shadows: Meowth, Mareanie, and Mimikyu. The scene then flashes back to the night that the trio arrived at the paradise. True to Meowth's prediction, the mysterious box Mareanie brought with them had caused immediate complications. They were caught almost instantly, but luck was on their side. The Aether Foundation was in the process of welcoming a new batch of Pokemon refugees, part of their ongoing conservation efforts. Seizing the opportunity, the trio blended in with the other Pokemon, though their cover is far from perfect. Their constant bickering over the lack of progress in finding Jesse and James has made it hard to stay under the radar, but their biggest obstacle, the Foundation's state-of-the-art security system, which has thwarted Meowth's hacking attempts every night over the past week. The Scratch Cat is stumped until it realizes that a complete power failure to the whole complex might create a small window of opportunity to bypass the firewalls. The only question is, how? Back in the present, Meowth's sharp eyes catch sight of Gary, recognizing him from the many encounters with the twerp. Meowth decides to follow him on a whim, leaving Marini and Mimikyu to their usual squabblings. As Burnett and Gary approach a massive door leading into the research division, Meowth's curiosity is piqued. The door slides open to reveal Fava, standing proudly beside his rebuilt ultra wormhole generator. The sight sends a jolt of inspiration through Meowth. His mind races, piecing together a daring and dangerous plan. If he can manipulate the device to cause a power surge, it might just create the chaos he needs to hack the system. The wheels are turning, and Meowth's mischievous grin widens. This is his chance, but it's a high-stakes gamble that could either reunite him with Jesse and James, or land the trio in even deeper trouble. The tension is palpable as the scene sets the stage for what's to come, a thrilling clash of science, strategy, and sheer audacity in the heart of the Aether Paradise. Shifting back to Ash and the others, the boat cuts through the sparkling turquoise waves of the Alola region, the salty breeze tussling Ash's hair as Pikachu clings to his shoulder, cheeks sparking with excitement. Ash, Go, and Professor Kukui are aboard a mysterious vessel en route from Mele Mele Island to Akala Island. But this isn't just any ordinary boat ride. The captain steering the ship is none other than Olivia, the kahuna of Akala Island herself. Her presence alone is enough to pique Ash's curiosity, but the real mystery lies in why she's here. Olivia reveals that she has been sent by someone very special, someone who has requested Ash's presence on Akala Island for a coronation battle. Ash's eyes light up at the mention of a battle, his competitive spirit instantly ignited. Who is it? Who wants to battle me? He asks eagerly, leaning forward. Go, equally curious, chimes in. Yeah, Olivia, you can't just drop something like that and not tell us who it is. But Olivia simply smirks, her lips sealed tighter than a Pokeball. It's a surprise, she says with a playful wink. Even Professor Kukui, usually in the know about most things in Alola, shrugs helplessly. Don't look at me, I'm just as clueless as you two. The suspense hangs in the air like a charged thunderbolt, as Ash can't help but to feel a surge of energy. The waves crash against the boats and the sun glints off the water as the group continues their journey. To pass time, the conversation shifts to Olivia herself, and more specifically, her boyfriend, Brock, the former gym leader of Pewter City. Ash's face lights up at the mention of his old friend. Has Brock been back to Alola recently? He asks, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Olivia shakes her head. Not lately. The last time I heard from him was about a month ago. He mentioned something about those new Dynamax pills that have been popping up everywhere. Go's eyebrow shoots up at the mention of the Dynamax pills. Now that you mention it, he says, tapping his chin thoughtfully, I haven't seen any of those Dynamax pills since we arrived in Alola. What's up with that? Olivia and Kukui share a knowing glance before bursting into laughter. You probably won't find them here, Kukui explains. Chairman Rose isn't exactly a fan of the Alola region. He hasn't made those pills available here because, well, Alola doesn't have the kind of corporate infrastructure he's used to dealing with. Olivia nods in agreement, and honestly, it's just as well. We've got our Z moves. We don't need Dynamax complicating things. Our power comes from our bond with our Pokemon, not some fancy gimmick. Ash and Go exchange nervous glances, both recalling the times that they used Dynamax in the past. Yeah, but Dynamax can be pretty cool too, Ash says, sheepishly scratching the back of his head. Olivia raises an eyebrow, her smirk returning. Cool, maybe, but unnecessary in Alola. You'll see. As the boat finally docks on Akala Island, Olivia leads the group toward the imposing silhouette of the Akala volcano. The air grows warmer, and the ground beneath their feet feels alive with energy. Olivia stops at the base of the volcano and turns to Ash. Your opponent is waiting at the top for you, she says, her tone serious now. Don't keep them waiting. Ash glances back at Go, who gives him an encouraging nod. This is your battle, Ash. I'll wait here with Olivia and Professor Kukui. Go show them what you've got. With Pikachu leaping onto his shoulder, Ash takes a deep breath and begins the ascent up the volcano. The path is steep and rugged, but Ash's determination fuels every step. The heat intensifies as he climbs, but he doesn't slow down. He's too focused on the mystery ahead. Who could be waiting for him at the top? Another champion? A legendary trainer? His mind races with the possibilities. When Ash finally reaches the summit, the sight before him makes his heart soar. Standing there silhouetted against the fiery glow of the volcano is Kiawe, his old friend and rival. Kiawe grins, a Pokeball in each hand, his signature confidence radiating as brightly as the lava's glow. Ash, catch him, Kiawe calls out, his voice carrying over the roar of the volcano. It's been a long time. We've both gotten stronger, and I want to see just how much you've grown. Let's settle this in a world coronation double battle. Ash's eyes gleam with excitement as he steps forward, pulling 2 Pokeballs from his belt. You're on, Kiawe, but don't think this'll be easy. You have no idea what I've got in store for you. Pikachu sparks with anticipation, ready to battle alongside Ash, and the 2 trainers prepare to clash in an epic showdown. The heat of the volcano mirrors the intensity of the moments, and the stage is set for a battle that will test their skills, their bonds, and their growth as trainers. Shifting back down below, below, the sun dips lower over the horizon, casting a golden glow across the sandy shores of Alola. The gentle crash of waves against the beach sets a serene backdrop, but the air is anything but calm. Go can hardly contain his excitement as he paces back and forth, his curiosity bubbling over. Who is Ash battling up there? He finally bursts out, unable to take the anticipation any longer. Olivia, standing nearby with a knowing smile, glances toward the towering peak of the volcano, where Ash and his mysterious opponent are now locked in an intense battle. Well, Olivia begins, her voice calm but carrying a weight of significance. Since Ash has likely reached the top by now, I suppose there's no harm in telling you, it's Kiawe. Go's eyes widen. Kiawe? Why would he want to battle Ash? Olivia's expression softens, her gaze drifting toward the volcano as if she sees the battle unfolding in her mind. This battle means a great deal to Kiawe. He's at a crossroads in his life, stepping into the next chapter of his journey. For him, it isn't just a friendly match. It's a test of his strength, his beliefs, and his future. Go tilts his head puzzled. Test? What do you mean? Olivia nods, her tone thoughtful. Kiawe is the grandson of the former kahuna of Akala Island. That legacy comes with expectations, pressure even. He feels the weight of his family's history and the responsibility to live up to it. Ash, as the first ever Alolan champion, represents the pinnacle of strength in the region. To Kiawe, this battle is a way to measure himself against the very best. He wants to know if his way of training and growing as a trainer, staying true to Alola and its traditions, can stand up to Ash's path, which took him far beyond these islands. Go's brow furrows. What do you mean by his way versus Ash's way? Before Olivia can elaborate, Professor Kukui steps in, his usual cheerful demeanor tempered by a rare seriousness. It's no secret that Ash is Alola's champion, he says, crossing his arms. But after he won the title, he chose to leave the region to continue growing as a trainer. While that was his decision, it left a void here. People from all over came to Alola, hoping to challenge the champion or prove they were as strong as he was. In Ash's absence, Kiawe stepped up. He took on every challenger who came looking for Ash, defending Alola's honor and proving his own strength. Over time, he even registered in the World Coronation Series and climbed to a respectable rank of 53, all without leaving the islands. Kukui pauses, his gaze shifting toward the volcano. Kiawe believes that you don't need to leave Alola to become strong, that staying true to your roots, your home, and your people can make you just as powerful as someone who travels the world. The battle is his way of testing that belief. Did Ash grow stronger by leaving, or did Kiawe by staying, becoming the true pillar of strength in Alola? That's the question they're answering right now. As Kukui's words hang in the air, Go falls silent, his mind racing. The idea of a battle carrying so much weight, not just for the trainers, but an entire region, stirs something within him. He thinks back to Gary, his somewhat rival, and their recent conversation about the Aether Paradise. Gary had been insistent, almost annoyingly so, that Go should visit the high-tech conservation facility to learn more about the Ultra Beasts and their connection to Mew. At the time, Go had brushed it off, but now, as he gazes over the water toward the distant silhouette of the Aether Paradise, he can't help but to wonder. Maybe Gary was onto something. If Go wants to learn about every Pokemon connected to Mew, he can't ignore the Ultra Beasts. They are part of the puzzle, just as much as any other Pokemon, and if he's going to understand them, the Aether Paradise might be the key. The sun continues to sink, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The battle atop of the volcano rages on, unseen but deeply felt. Go takes a deep breath, his resolve hardening. Whether it's Ash's journey, Kiawe's beliefs, or his own quest to uncover the mysteries of Mew, one thing is clear. Every step forward is a chance to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. And Go is ready to take that next step. His gaze lingers on the Aether Paradise, shimmering in the distance like a beacon. The answers he seeks might be there waiting. And with that thought, Go feels a spark of excitement ignite within him. The adventure is far from over. It's only just beginning. As Go determines his next source of action, we pan back up to the volcano. The air is thick with heat and the acritic scent of sulfur as Ash and Kiawe stand opposite sides of the battlefield. The molten lava below casting an eerie glow across the volcanic landscape. The Rotom Ref hovers above, its mechanical voice cutting through the tension. This will be a double battle. Trainers, send out your Pokemon. Kiawe grins confidently, his eyes locked on Ash. You've been gone a long time, Ash. Let's see if you've grown as much as you claim. Go, Marowak and Turtonator. With a swift motion, he hurls his Pokeballs, and the fiery Marowak and the explosive Turtonator emerge, their flames flickering in sync with the volcano's molten glow. Ash smirks, his determination shining through. I've been training harder than ever, Kiawe. You'll see. Lucario, Lycanroc, I choose you! As Lucario and Lycanroc leap onto the battlefield, their eyes locked on their opponents. The tension is palpable as the volcano rumbles beneath them, the ground trembling with anticipation. The battle erupts with a flurry of attacks. Kiawe wastes no time barking out commands. Turtonator, Flamethrower, Marowak, Shadow Bone on Lycanroc. Turtonator unleashes a searing flamethrower at Lucario, while Marowak charges at Lycanroc, its bone glowing with ghostly energy. Ash reacts quickly, his voice steady. Lucario, Aura Sphere to counter. Lycanroc, Stone Edge. Lucario forms a glowing Aura Sphere and hurls it at the flamethrower, the two attacks colliding in a fiery explosion. Meanwhile, Lycanroc summons jagged stones from the ground, intercepting Marowak's Shadow Bone mid-swing. The battlefield shakes as the attacks cancel each other out, leaving both sides unscathed but wary. wary. Kiawe crosses his arms, his confidence unwavering. Not bad, Ash, but you've been gone for too long. You don't know how strong I've become just by staying in Alola. Ash's eyes narrow, his focus sharp. I respect your strength, Kiawe, but you'll never understand how much you're holding yourself back until you leave Alola and see the world. The battle escalates as Kiawe's Pokemon unleash their full power. Turtonator, Shell Smash, Marowak, Flare Blitz. Turtonator's shell glows as it boosts its power and speed with Shell Smash, while Marowak engulfs itself in flames and charges at Lycanroc with Flare Blitz. Ash counters without hesitation. Lucario, Work Up, Lycanroc, Thunder Fang on Marowak. Lucario focuses its energy, increasing its attack and special attack, while Lycanroc's fangs crackle with electricity as it meets Marowak's Flare Blitz head-on. The clash sends sparks flying, both Pokemon standing their ground, neither willing to back down. Kiawe's grin widens. You're good, Ash, but you can't keep this up. Turtonator, Flamethrower again. Marowak, Ironhead. Turtonator fires another Flamethrower, this time at Lycanroc, while Marowak's skull glows metallic as it charges at Lucario. Ash's voice is calm but firm. Lucario, Meteor Mash, Lycanroc, Play Rough. Lucario's fists glow in cosmic energy as it pushes through the Flamethrower, deflecting it. Lycanroc meets Marowak's Ironhead with Play Rough, the two attacks creating a shockwave that sent both Pokemon skidding back. The battlefield is alive with energy, the volcano's heat adding to the intensity. Kiawe's strategy shifts as he seeks to overwhelm Ash. Let's turn up the heat, Turtonator, Flamethrower, Marowak, Shadow Bone again. Turtonator and Marowak combine their attacks, creating a swirling fiery tornado that engulfs the battlefield. The intense heat causes the ground to crack, and the lava bubbles dangerously close to the surface. Ash grits his teeth, his mind racing. Lucario, use your aura to find a way through. Lycanroc, Stone Edge as a shield. Lucario closes its eyes, focusing its aura to navigate through the fire tornado. Lycanroc summons a wall of jagged stones to block the flames, but the heat is overwhelming. Kiawe smirks, his confidence unshaken. You can't win, Ash. This is the power of Alola. Ash's determination flares. We'll see about that. Lucario, Aura Sphere, Lycanroc, Stone Edge, now! Lucario hurls an Aura Sphere through the fire tornado, guided by its aura sense. Lycanroc's Stone Edge follows, the jagged stones combining with the Aura Sphere to create a devastating attack that slams into Turtonator. Kiawe's eyes widen in shock as Turtonator collapses, unable to withstand their combined force of the attacks. The Rotomruff's voice rings out. Turtonator is unable to battle. Kiawe clenches his fists, his resolve hardening. You've gotten stronger, Ash, but I'm not done yet. Marowak, let's go. Inferno Overdrive. He activates his Z-Ring, and Marowak's body erupts in a massive inferno. The flames spiral into a colossal fireball, hurling towards Lucario. Ash's smirk returns as he activates his own Z-Ring. Lycanroc, let's finish this. Splintered Storm Shards. Lycanroc's body glows as it summons a storm of razor-sharp stones, to which Lucario infuses with the power of the aura, creating a blinding, powerful attack. The two Z-moves collide in an earth-shattering explosion, the force of which causes the volcano to rumble violently. When the smoke clears, Lucario takes a knee, but it's still able to battle, while Lycanroc stands tall, its eyes glowing with determination. The Rotomruff's voice echoes across the battlefield. Marowak is unable to battle. The winner is Ash Ketchum. Kiawe recalls Marowak, his expression a mix of frustration and admiration. Ash walks over, extending a hand. That was an incredible battle, Kiawe. You've gotten so much stronger. Kiawe shakes Ash's hand, his voice tinged with introspection. But not strong enough, huh? I can't believe how much you've grown, Ash. Maybe, just maybe, you're right. Ash smiles warmly at this comment. As the two trainers head down the volcano, the camera pans to reveal Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele floating just out of sight, their eyes glowing with intrigue. The Tapus exchange a glance, as if silently agreeing on something. Tapu Koko chirps mischievously, while Tapu Lele hums in response, leaving us to wonder what the Tapus are planning next. Ash and Kiawe reach the bottom of the volcano, their shoes crunching against the rocky terrain as the heat from the battle still lingers in the air. Their Pokemon trail behind them, looking worn out but proud. Professor Kukui, Olivia, and Go are waiting for them, their faces a mix of curiosity and amusement. Go, always the first to break the silence, grins and asks, so who won? Kiawe crosses his arms, his expression a mix of frustration and respect. Ash did, he admits, his voice steady but tinged with disappointment, and it wasn't even close. The words hang in the air, heavy with the weight of defeat. Kiawe has trained tirelessly over the past year, pushing himself and his Pokemon to their limits, but yet Ash still comes out on top. It's a bitter pill to swallow. However, Ash, ever the humble champion, steps forward, his eyes filled with genuine admiration. Kiawe, you've improved so much since the last time we battled, he says, his voice earnest. I could see it in every move you made, your Marowak's speed, your Turtonator's precision. It was incredible. You've come a long way. His words are meant to uplift, but Kiawe can't help but to feel a pang of frustration. Improvement is one thing, but victory is another. Professor Kukui, sensing the mood, claps a hand on Kiawe's shoulder. Hey, don't let it get you down, he says with a warm smile. You've got plenty to be happy about. After all, tomorrow's a big day. His words are met with a blank stare from Ash and Kiawe, who are still caught up in the aftermath of the battle. Olivia chuckles, her eyes sparking with amusement. Don't tell me you forgot, she teases. Tomorrow's the start of the Manalo conference. Ash's eyes widen in panic. Wait, tomorrow, he exclaims, his voice rising to octave. I thought it was next week. He begins pacing back and forth, running running a hand through his messy hair. I haven't even prepared. What if I lose my first title defense? What if I go? Then cuts him off with a laugh, shaking his head. Relax, Ash. Professor Kukui told you about this over a week ago. You just weren't paying attention as usual. The group erupts into laughter, the sound echoing off the rocky walls of the volcano. Even Kiawe can't help but to crack a smile, his earlier disappointment fading as he watches Ash's comical meltdown. Kukui steps in, his tone reassuring. You'll do fine, Ash. You're the Alola champion for a reason. But remember, this isn't about just defending your title. It's about the bonds you've built with your Pokemon, and the friends you've made along the way. Win or lose, that's what really matters. Ash takes a deep breath, his panic slowly subsiding. He glances at Pikachu, who gives him a confident nod, and then at Kiawe, who's now smirking. You better not lose before I get a chance to challenge you again, Kiawe says, his competitive spirit reignited. I'm coming for that title, Ash. Next time, it'll be different. The group shares a moment of camaraderie, the excitement of the upcoming Manalo conference buzzing in the air. As they make their way back to town, the sun is setting behind the volcano. Ash can't help but to feel a surge of determination. The road ahead is uncertain, but one thing's for clear. The battles will be fierce, the stakes will be high, and the bonds of friendship will be stronger than ever. The Manalo conference is about to begin, and Ash Ketchum is ready to prove why he is the champion of Alola. The next day, we find ourselves inside of the Manalo Stadium, as the atmosphere is electric, buzzing with anticipation and excitement. The air is thick with the scent of popcorn, the hums of chatter, and the occasional roar of Pokemon cries echoing through the stands. The entire Alola region has come together to witness the second ever Pokemon League, a monumental event that draws trainers, spectators, and enthusiasts from every corner of the islands. The stadium is a sea of vibrant colors, with banners, flags, and merchandise representing each of Alola's islands fluttering in the breeze. The energy is palpable, and the stakes are higher than ever. Ash Ketchum, the reigning Alolan champion, stands at the edge of the stadium's viewing platform, his Pikachu perched confidently on his shoulder. His eyes scan the crowd below, taking in the sea of familiar and unfamiliar faces. Beside him are Professor Kukui, his ever-enthusiastic mentor, and Burnett, Kukui's wife, who holds their young son Lei. Ash's excitement is tempered by a tinge of disappointment. Unlike the previous year's league, where he battled his way to the top, this year's tournament is exclusive. Only 16 trainers who have competed in the Grueling Island Challenge are allowed to compete, and the winner will earn the right to challenge Ash for his championship title. The thought of sitting on the sidelines while others battle it out doesn't sit well with him. He's a born competitor, after all. The idea of waiting and watching feels almost unbearable. I don't see why I can't just jump in and battle too, Ash mutters, crossing his arms. Pikachu lets out a sympathetic pika as it shares in its trainer's frustration. Kukui chuckles, placing a reassuring hand on Ash's shoulders. That's the role of a champion, Ash. You've earned your spot at the top, and now it's your job to wait for the strongest challenger to rise. It's all part of the journey. Ash sighs, reluctantly nodding. I guess you're right, but it's still not as fun as battling. Burnett smiles warmly, adjusting Lei in her arms. Well, while you're waiting, you can spend some time with us. Lei's been looking forward to seeing you, and I'm sure he'd love to hear some of your adventures. At the mention of Lei, Ash's mood brightens. The toddler giggles, reaching out his tiny hands towards him. He squeals, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Ash grins, his competitive frustration momentarily forgotten. Alright, Lei, I'll tell you about the crazy stuff me and Pikachu have been up to lately. But Ash's curiosity quickly shifts back to the tournament. He turns to Kukui, raising an eyebrow. What about you, Professor? What are you going to do? Kukui's eyes gleam with a competitive fire as he adjusts his signature cap. Oh, I'm not sitting out the tournament this time. Unlike last year, I'm not here to just cheer from the sidelines and wait for you to get to the top. I've completed the Island Challenge myself, remember? And I'm stepping into the arena as a competitor. It's time to show everyone what the former Master Royal is really made of. Ash's eyes widen in surprise. Wait, you're battling too? That's awesome. I can't wait to see you in action. Kukui grins, his trademark confidence shining through. You better believe it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to head down to the main battlefield. They're about to announce the combatants. As Kukui makes his way down to the arena, Ash, Burnett, and Lei move to the main viewing window, where they can get a clear look at the action below. The stadium's massive screens light up, and the crowd erupts in a cheer as the announcer steps forward. But this time, it's not Hala, the kahuna of Mele Mele Island, who takes the stage. Instead, it's Hapu, the young and determined kahuna of Pony Island. She looks slightly out of her element, as if she's been reluctantly thrusted into the spotlight, but her voice carries a quiet strength as she addresses the crowd. Alola, everyone, Hapu begins, her words echoing through the stadium. Welcome to the second annual Manalo Conference. Today, we're gathered to witness the strength, courage, and bonds between trainer and their Pokemon. Only the strongest will rise to challenge our reigning champion, Ash Ketchum, and claim the title of Alola's very best. The crowd roars in approval, and Ash feels a surge of pride. He scans the lineup of competitors, his eyes lighting up as he recognizes many of them. There's Kiawe, his fiery friend from Akala, standing tall with his Charizard by his side. Malo, the cheerful chef from Mele Mele Island, looking determined as ever. Lana, the quiet but fierce water specialist, is there too, along with Sophocles, the tech-savvy trainer from the observatory. Ash's heart swells with pride as he sees how far his friends have all come. It looks like they've been doing well over the last year. But there are also faces that Ash doesn't know as well. Kahili, the elegant golfer and flying type specialist, stands poised and confident. Mina, the artistic fairy type trainer, exudes a quiet intensity. Mullane, the brilliant steel type expert and former captain of the observatory, looks ready to prove his mettle. And then there's Hala, the towering kahuna of Mele Mele Island, and his grandson Hao, who's as energetic as ever. Olivia, the kahuna of Akala Island, stands with her usual calm demeanor, her gaze sharp and focused. But two figures in particular catch Ash's attention, and Go's as well. Go's eyes narrow as he spots Gary Oak, the confident and slightly arrogant grandson of Professor Oak, standing next to his cousin, Samson Oak. Go crosses his arms, muttering under his breath, "What's he doing here? I thought this was invite only. How'd Mr. Perfect get in?" Ash, however, is too focused to answer. His gaze locked on another trainer, Rinto, the mysterious and skilled trainer who once nearly defeated Steven Stone, the Hoenn region's champion, in a battle for that title. Ash's fists clench with excitement. Ever since their brief encounter when Ash got back to Alola, he has been itching for a chance to battle Rinto. The thought of finally facing him sends a thrill through his veins. Before Ash can dwell on it even further, Hapu continues her announcements. However, it quickly becomes apparent that two competitors are missing. Just as the crowd begins to murmur in confusion, the stadium doors burst open, and in strides Guzma and Plumeria, the former leaders of Team Skull. The crowd's reaction is mixed. Some cheer, while others boo, their memories of Guzma's past antics still fresh. But Kukui steps forward, his voice calm but firm. "Everyone, let's give a warm Alola welcome to Guzma and Plumeria," Kukui announces. Guzma has proven himself by taking on and defeating each of Alola's kahunas, earning his place in this tournament. He and Plumeria have earned the right to compete, and I, for one, am excited to see what they can do. Guzma smirks, his usual bravado on display. "That's right, folks. I'm here to show you that even though I did win the Island Challenge, I don't need it to take the title of champion. I'll prove that I'm the strongest. Team Skull may be gone, but I'm still standing, and I'm ready to take this whole thing down." As the crowd reacts, Ash can't help but to feel a sense of respect for Guzma. The former troublemaker has clearly grown, and Ash is eager to see how far he's come. Hapu then takes the stage once more, outlining the tournament structure. The battles will take place over 3 days, with the first day featuring 2-on-2 matches to determine the best top 8 trainers. The second day will see those 8 compete in 3-on-3 battles, narrowing it down to the final 4. And on the third day, the remaining 4 will battle it out in 3-on-3 matches until the final 2 are determined, which will immediately conclude with a 6-on-6 battle between them. This will bring us to the 4th and final day, where the winner of the Manalo Conference will earn the right to challenge Ash Ketchum for the championship. The crowd erupts in cheers as the brackets are randomized and the first round of matches are announced. Rinto versus Mala will be first up, then Kiawe versus Sophocles. Number 3 will be Mina versus Plumeria. Number 4 is Kahili versus Samson Oak. 5 will be Lana versus Hao, and 6 will be Gary Oak versus Olivia. 7 will be Kukui versus Mullane, and 8 will be Guzma versus Hala. The stadium vibrates with excitement as the combatants clear the field, preparing for the first battle. Ash leans forward, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "This is it, Pikachu," he says, his voice filled with determination. "No matter who wins, I know they're going to give it their all, and when the time comes, we'll be ready to face them." Pikachu nods as its cheeks spark with electricity. Pika, Pika. As the first match between Rinto and Mallow begins, Ash can't help but to feel a surge of excitement. This is the Alola's Pokemon League, and it's going to be a battle of the ages. The battlefield is set, and Rinto's Tyranitar looms large, its sandstream whipping up fierce sandstorms. Mallow's Zarina steps forward, graceful but determined. Tyranitar opens with a devastating stone edge, the jagged rocks slamming into Zarina. Zarina retaliates with a powerful high jump kick, but the sandstorm bolsters Tyranitar's defenses, allowing it to shrug off the blow. With a roar, the rock kaiju finishes the match with a crushing crunch, leaving Zarina unable to battle. In response, Mallow recalls her grass type, choosing to swap it out for Shiinotic next, its glowing spores ready to turn the tide. However, she's not the only one to make a swap, as Rinto, for some reason, chooses to swap out Tyranitar for his less than effective Swampert. However, at the command of its trainer, Shiinotic uses a spore, putting Rinto's Swampert immediately to sleep. Thinking quickly, the young boy pivots once again, sending back in Tyranitar. Shiinotic's Giga Drain barely phases the rock type as it was meant for the sleeping Swampert. However, Tyranitar is able to capitalize on this and ends the battle with the Rock Slide. The rocks scatter across the whole field as Shiinotic falls, Rinto's relentless power proving too much for Mallow's team. With the first round done, things then heat up as Kiawe's Alolan Marowak faces off against Sophocles' Togedemaru, the air crackling with tension. Togedemaru launches forward with a zigzag, but Marowak simply takes the attack, boosting its power. Then, with a swift swing of its ghostly club, Marowak strikes with a Shadow Bone, the ghostly energy overwhelming Togedemaru in one hit. Sophocles then sends out Vigavolt next, its buzzing wings humming with energy. Vigavolt fires off a Thunderbolt, but Kiawe's Turtonator is swapped in and stands firm, its shell glowing ominously. As Vigavolt attacks, Turtonator's Shell Trap activates, exploding in a fiery burst that leaves Vigavolt reeling. Turtonator Fire follows up with a searing flamethrower, securing Kiawe's victory. His fiery team burns brightly, outmatching Sophocles' electric types. The Master of the Fire can't help but to look up to Ash, as he thinks to himself he's just one step closer to getting his rematch against the champion for his title. However, Kiawe's going to have to quickly clear the field as it comes up to the third match in Mina's Ribombee, as it flits gracefully onto the battlefield, facing Plumeria's Salazzle. Ribombee begins with the quiver dance, its movements mesmerizing as it boosts its stats. However, Salazzle tries to counter with a Sledge Wave, but Ribombee darts out of the way, launching a pollen buff that explodes on contact. Salazzle swaggers, but Ribombee finishes with a dazzling gleam, leaving Salazzle unable to continue. Knowing she's on her back foot, Plumeria then swaps out for her Gengar, its sinister grin widening as it fires off a Shadow Ball. Mina decides to swap out as well, Gramble stepping in to take the hit with a growl before retaliating with a powerful crunch. Gengar tries to stall with Hypnosis, but Gramble shakes off the drowsiness and lands a decisive Play Rough. The Fairy energy overwhelming Gengar and sealing Mina's win, her Fairy Pokemon dancing through the battle with grace and power. Then, to keep the crowd on the edge of their seats, Kahili's Toucannon takes to the skies, facing the Samson Oak's towering Executor. Toucannon's Beak Blast glows white hot as it slams into the Alolan giant, leaving it scorched and reeling. Executor tries to fight back with the Dragon Balls, but Toucannon's Bullet Seed rains down, the rapid fire seeds knocking Executor out of the fight. Samson Oak then decides that he's going to try a little bit more of a stubborn approach, sending in his Tauros, its hooves pounding the ground as it charges forward with an Earthquake. But this is a failed attempt on the principal's behalf, as it has little to no effect on Kahili's second choice, Skarmory, as it soars above, immune to the tremors, and using this moment to set up a spikes to litter the battlefield. With a fierce cry, Skarmory dives down with a Brave Bird, the impact sending Tauros sprawling. Kahili's strategy and Skarmory's aerial dominance secures her victory. Then, just before anyone knows it, the fifth round takes off immediately, with Lana's Araquanid facing How's Alolan Raichu. The water droplets of its body glisten in the sun. Araquanid's liquidation strikes with incredible force, its water bubble ability amplifying the damage. Alolan Raichu tries to counter with Psychic, but Araquanid's sturdy defense holds firm. A second liquidation ends the match, leaving Raichu unable to continue. How then desperate sends out Decidueye next, its arrows knocked and ready. Decidueye fires its first offense, a Leaf Blade, but Lana's Primarina, which is just freshly evolved, counters with a sparkling Aria, the watery melody dealing some serious damage. Decidueye tries to set up with Swords Dance, but Primarina's Moonblast shines brightly, the fairy energy overwhelming Decidueye and securing Lana's victory quicker than any other match that had come before her. Her Water-type Pokemon flow with strength and grace, outmatching Howl's whole team. The first 5 rounds have gone off without a hitch. Each battle is a thrilling display of strategy, power, and quick thinking, with the winning trainers showcasing their skills and the unique strengths of their Pokemon, each of them showing in their own way how much they've grown since the last time Ash was in the Alola region, leaving the young champion with one actual question: who will be his opponent in the end? But just when the crowd thought things couldn't get any better, things take a sudden turn with the next combatants. The battlefield is alive with tension as Gary Oak and Olivia step onto the opposite sides. Gary's Blastoise takes to the field first, its massive cannons primed and ready. Olivia counters with her Lycanroc, its sharp eyes gleaming under the sun. The battle begins with Lycanroc darting forward using Accelerock to strike first. Blastoise tanks the hit and retaliates with a powerful Hydro Pump, but Lycanroc's speed allows it to dodge just in time. Olivia smirks, commanding Lycanroc to set up with Stealth Rock, the jagged stones hovering ominously around Gary's side of the battlefield. Gary, realizing the danger, recalls Blastoise and sends out his Umbreon, its sleek black fur shimmering under the arena lights. Umbreon's Foul Play catches Lycanroc off guard, dealing heavy damage as it begins to take the effects of the Stealth Rock. Olivia is unfazed, switching to a Probopass, its magnetic field humming with energy. Probopass, use Earth Power! The ground erupts beneath Umbreon, but Umbreon's Moonlight heals it just enough to stay in the fight. Gary's eyes narrow as he begins to strategize, his former battling spirit being reignited. Seeing this, Olivia recalls Probopass to send Lycanroc back in, its Stone Edge slicing through the air. Umbreon barely dodges, and Gary seizes the opportunity. He recalls Umbreon to bring Blastoise back out, the Stealth Rock's chipping away at its health once again. Blastoise fires off a devastating Ice Beam, freezing Lycanroc in its tracks. Olivia, now on the defensive, switches to Probopass once again, but Gary anticipated this move, and Blastoise Flash Cannon strikes true, weakening Probopass significantly. The tide begins to turn as Gary's confidence grows. He recalls Blastoise and sends back in Umbreon once again, its Dark Balls forcing Probopass to retreat. Olivia, now feeling the pressure, sends back in Lycanroc one more time. The two Pokemon clash, Lycanroc's Crunch meeting Umbreon's Foul Play in a flurry of energy, but Gary's strategic substitutions and precise timing give him the edge. Umbreon lands a final decisive Dark Pulse, knocking out Lycanroc and forcing Olivia to rely on her last remaining Pokemon as she sends back in Probopass. However, Gary is all for the pivot in this moment, sending back in Blastoise to deliver one final Hydro Pump to secure his victory as he blasts Probopass into the side of the stadium wall. As the crowd cheers, Go watches from the sidelines, his arms crossed. He knew Gary could battle, but he hadn't expected this level of skill. A flicker of jealousy sparks within him as he realizes just how formidable Gary truly is. Meanwhile, the Oak Boy stands tall, a confident smirk on his face. The researcher has proven that he still is a force to be reckoned with, and his battling spirit is fully awakened once more. With Gary's spot in the top 8 secure, we now get to see two former childhood friends turned rivals face off in their respective matches. The battlefield hums with energy as Kukui and Mullane step forward for theirs. Kukui's Braviary takes to the skies, its wings beating powerfully, while Mullane's Metagross stands firm, its steel body gleaming under the arena lights. Braviary opens with a fierce Brave Bird, slamming into Metagross with incredible force. The impact leaves Metagross reeling, but it quickly retaliates with a devastating Meteor Mash, the steel-clad fist striking Braviary hard. Kukui, seeing Braviary's health drop significantly, recalls it and sends out Empoleon, its regal stance commanding attention. Empoleon's Hydro Pump douses Metagross, the water attack hitting with just enough force to weaken the steel type. Mullane, realizing the danger, swaps out to his Bisharp, its sharp blades glinting menacingly. Bisharp's Iron Head strikes Empoleon hard, but Kukui's quick thinking pays off as Empoleon counters with an Ice Beam, freezing the Bisharp in its tracks and leaving it unable to continue, as Empoleon blasts it with the Hydro Pump. Mullane then sends Metagross back out, but Empoleon's Flash Cannon finishes the battle rather quick, the steel type move landing with precision and securing the win for Kukui. The crowd erupts in cheers as Kukui has demonstrated that even though he's the regional professor, he can still throw down with the best of them. However, that's not going to be the highlight of the day, as while nobody wants to admit it to themselves, everyone is curious to Guzma, as he has managed to beat the Island Challenge, which means he managed to defeat all of the Kahunas across Alola, which is someone never thought possible, let alone got a chance to see. But this time, they're going to get the opportunity to see this, as Guzma faces off with Hala in a clash of raw power and brute strength. Guzma's Golisopod starts the battle with a lightning-fast first impression, striking Hala's Crabominable before it can even react. The Bug-type moves deals significant damage, but Crabominable shakes it off and counters with the mighty Ice Hammer, the icy fist slamming into Golisopod. Guzma, unfazed, commands Golisopod to use Liquidation, the water attack crashing into Crabominable with enough force to leave it staggering. Hala, sensing the danger, decides to recall the crab and sends out Hariyama, the fighting type's massive hands ready for action. Hariyama's close combat lands a solid hit on Golisopod, but Guzma quickly swaps over to Scizor, its steel body deflecting the brunt of the attacks. Scizor's bullet punches strike swiftly, the priority move chipping away at Hariyama's health. Hala, desperate to turn the tides, sends back out Crabominable, but Scizor's X-Scissor finishes the battle, the Bug-type move cutting through Crabominable, securing Guzma's victory. The crowd is still unsure about Guzma's aggressive style, and if he actually deserves the win over Hala, but Hapu won't let Swings of Judgment sour the occasion, as she immediately announces the battles for the following day, telling everyone in the crowd that if they thought the first round was stacked, just wait till they get the second one, as round 1 will be Rinto versus Kiawe, while round 2 will be Mina versus Kahili, round 3 will be Lana versus Gary Oak, and round 4 is going to be Kukui versus Guzma. The crowd falls silent, as the day has seemed to fly by with the sun now setting over the Alolan horizon. This leaves everyone a little tired, but one thing's for sure, Ash is excited about the next day's events, as there are some serious contenders. But for now, the Alolan champion suggests that he and Go meet up with all of his friends. He would love for all of them to meet the boy, though he is hesitant as Gary will be there. Go relents with Ash telling Burnett that they will be home later, and not to wait up. The professor waves goodbye as Kukui joins her, smiling as he knows exactly where they are headed off to. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same, he says, as both of them laugh before heading home for the night. As the professor's plan for a quiet night, the same can't be said for Ash as the sun sets over Manala Stadium, casting a warm golden glow over the bustling crowd. Ash stands at the edge of the battlefield, his heart still racing from the first round of the Manalo Conference. Pikachu perches on his shoulder, cheeks sparkling with excitement. As Ash turns to leave the arena, he spots a familiar group of friends waiting for him near the entrance. His face lights up with joy. Lana, Malo, Kiawe, Sophocles, Ash calls out, waving enthusiastic as he runs towards them. Pikachu leaps off of his shoulder and dashes ahead, greeting each of them with a cheerful Pika-Pee. Lana, Ash says, smiling warmly, her Primarina bouncing next to her. You were amazing out there. That battle was incredible. Thanks, Lana says, replying with a scratch on the back of her head as she grins. Ash tells her not to be modest. She made it to the top 8, and that's awesome. Lana's eyes sparkle with determination. You haven't seen anything yet. My Primarina and I have been training hard. We've got some new surprises in store for you and everybody else. Ash's eyes widen, as he can't wait to see what these type of surprises are. However, they all can't help but to laugh at Ash's enthusiasm. But this is where Mallow steps forward, her usual cheerful demeanor shining through. And don't forget about all of us. We've all been working hard on new things while you were away, Ash. You're in for a treat. Sophocles smirks, a proud smile on his face. Yeah, me and my target tomorrow have been practicing some new moves. You're not the only one that's been getting stronger, you know. Kiawe crosses his arms, his usual serious expression softening as he looks at Ash. I'm gonna win my next battle and claim the title of champion. I hope you're ready for that. Ash's grin widens. Bring it on, Kiawe. I'm ready for any challenge, but don't think I'm going to make it easy for you. Kiawe smirks. I wouldn't expect anything less. As the group laughs and chats, Go, who has been standing there quietly beside Ash, finally speaks up. Hey everyone, I'm Go. It's nice to meet you all. Ash quickly turns to his friend, realizing he hasn't introduced him yet. Oh right, guys, this is Go. He's been traveling with me, and he's an awesome Pokemon trainer too. He's actually trying to catch every Pokemon in the world, including Mew. Lana's eyes widen in surprise. Mew? That's amazing. You really must be dedicated. Go nods, a bit shy under the attention. Yeah, it's my dream. Ash has been helping me with it a lot, and I've learned so much from him. Kiawe, who has already met Go during the battle with Ash, and gives him a nod of acknowledgement. You've got a strong spirit, Go. Keep it up. Before the conversation can continue, a familiar voice interrupts them all. Well, if it isn't Ash and his little fan club. The group turns to see Gary Oak approaching, his trademark smirk plastered across his face. Go's expression immediately shifts to one of annoyance. Gary, Go says, crossing his arms, what are you doing here? You didn't even compete in the Island Challenge. You shouldn't even be in this tournament. Gary chuckles, clearly enjoying Go's irritation. Oh, I had Samson Oak pull a few strings. Besides, I'm only here to kill time. The security systems at the Aether Paradise went into full lockdown yesterday. They need 72 hours to reboot, so I figured I'd enter the tournament while I waited it. Ash raises an eyebrow. Aether Paradise? What's going on over there? Gary shrugs. Something's wrong with their security system. Baba's trying to fix it, but until then, I can't access any of the data on the Ultra Beast. He then turns to Go, his smirk widening. If you want to be a real chaser, Go, you'd be there when the system comes back online. You might actually learn something useful. Go glares at Gary, but before he can retort, Gary turns to Ash. Anyway, Ash, I hope you haven't gotten soft. I'm bringing my A game to this tournament. It would be a shame if you lost your first title defense to an old rival who hasn't been competitive in years. Ash just smiles, his confidence unwavering. You can bring whatever game you want, Gary. I'm ready for anything. Gary chuckles and walks away, leaving the group in a slightly awkward silence. Mallow, ever the peacemaker, claps her hands together. Well, that was something, but you know what we need? A proper Alola welcome for Go. How about we have a party at my family's restaurant? Go looks confused. A party for me? Ash grins and slings an arm around Go's shoulders. Trust me, Go, you're going to love it. Mallow's cooking is the best, and there's nothing like a night under the Alolan moon with friends. Lana nods enthusiastically. It'll be fun. We can catch up, share stories, and show Go what Alola is all about. Sophocles adjusts his gaze, a mischievous glint in his eye. And maybe we can even have a little battle or two. What do you say, Go? Go hesitates for a moment, then smiles. Alright, you've convinced me. Let's do it. The group cheers, and Ash grabs Go's hand, pulling him along as they set off toward Mallow's family's restaurant. The Alolan night is warm and inviting. The stars begin to twinkle in the sky. As they walk, laughter and chatter fill the air, the bonds of friendship growing stronger with every step. Under the Alolan moon, surrounded by friends, old and new, Ash can't help but to feel a deep sense of gratitude, no matter where his journey takes him. Alola will always feel like home, and with Go by his side, he knows that their adventures are only just beginning. The next morning, after a late night of partying, the Manalo conference is back in full swing. The crowd is alive as the battlefield surges with electricity. Rinto and Kiawe step on the opposite sides of the field, the crowd roaring in anticipation. Kiawe stands tall, his confidence radiating as he adjusts his Z-ring. This is it, Rinto. Let's see if you can handle the heat of an Alolan fire-type specialist, he declares, his voice booming with determination. Rinto, calm and reserved, simply nods, his sharp eyes already analyzing Kiawe's every move. Let's begin, he says quietly, his tone steady and focused. Kiawe sends out his Salamence first. The small fire-type skitters onto the battlefield with a mischievous grin. Rinto responds by releasing his Electros, the electric type floating ominously above the battlefield. The battle begins, and Kiawe takes the offensive. Salandit, use Flame Burst, he commands. Salandit launches a burst of fire towards Electros, but Rinto remains unfazed. Dodge and use Thunder Wave, he instructs calmly. Electros twists gracefully in the air, avoiding the flames and sending a paralyzing wave of electricity towards Salandit. The attack hits, leaving the fire type immobilized. Kiawe grits his teeth, but remains confident. Don't let that stop us. Use Toxic. Salandit manages to spit a glob of toxic sludge at Electros, poisoning it. Rinto's expression doesn't change, however. Acid Spray, he said simply. Electros retaliates with a corrosive acid that not only damages Salandit, but also lowers its special defense. Kiawe's confidence wavers slightly as he sees the effectiveness of Rinto's strategy. Salandit, use Venoshock, he commands, hoping to take advantage of the poison. Salandit launches a toxic blast at Electros, but Rinto is ready. Electros, use Protect, he says calmly. A shimmering barrier forms around Electros, blocking the attack completely. Kiawe's frustration begins to show. Salandit, keep using Venoshock, he shouts. Salandit fires another toxic blast, but Rinto remains composed. Electros, use Thunderbolt, he commands. Electros unleashes a powerful bolt of electricity, striking Salandit with precision. Small Pokemon stumbles, clearly feeling the effects of the attack. Kiawe's confidence falters as he realizes the tide of the battle is turning. Rinto continues to press his advantage. Electros, use Crunch, he says. Electros dives towards Salandit, its jaws glowing with a dark energy. The attack lands sparingly, and Salandit is knocked back, struggling to stay on its feet. Kiawe's determination flares. Salandit, don't give up. Use Flame Burst one more time. The fire type gathers its remaining strength and launches a burst of fire, but Rinto is ready. Electros, use Thunderbolt again, he commands. Electros fires another powerful bolt of electricity, this time hitting Salandit with full force. The small Pokemon collapses, unable to continue. The crowd erupts in applause as Kiawe recalls his Salandit, his expression a mix of frustration and respect. You're good, Rinto, he admits, his voice steady despite the setback. Rinto nods, his calm demeanor unchanged. Thank you, Kiawe, but the battle isn't over yet. Kiawe takes another deep breath, his confidence returning as he sends out his Charizard. The mighty fire flying type roars, its wings spreading as it takes to the sky. Remaining calm, Rinto decides to recall Electros and sends out a Pokemon that Go has never seen before. A dragon type known as Drampaw lands on the field with a gentle thud. Kiawe smirks. Charizard, let's show them our power. Use Flamethrower. The fire lizard unleashes a torrent of flames, but Rinto is ready. Drampaw, use Protect, he says coolly. A shimmering barrier forms around Drampaw, blocking the attack completely. Kiawe's smirk falters slightly as he presses on. Dragon Claw then. Charizard dives towards Drampaw, claws glowing with draconic energy. Rinto's eyes narrow. Drampaw, use Hyper Voice. As Charizard closes in, Drampaw unleashes a deafening roar. The sound waves forcing Charizard back and disrupting its attacks. Kiawe's confidence is beginning to waver as Rinto's strategic substitutions and precision counters start to take their toll. Rinto, meanwhile, remains composed, his analytical mind working overtime. Drampaw, use Dragon Pulse, he commands. The Dragon type fires a powerful blast of draconic energy, but Kiawe isn't ready to give up. Charizard, dodge and use Air Slash. The fire type narrowly avoids the attack and counters with sharp blades of air, but Rinto anticipates this. Drampaw, use Roost, he says, and Drampaw does, healing itself as the Air Slash grazes its wing. Kiawe clenches his fists, frustration creeping into his voice. Alright Charizard, let's end this. It's time! Inferno Overdrive! He activates his Z-Ring, and Charizard's body begins to erupt in a fiery energy as their movements became one, preparing to unleash its devastating Z-move. Rinto, however, remains unshaken. Drampaw, use Rain Dance, he says calmly. The Dragon type raises its head, and dark clouds gather above the battlefield. Rain begins to pour as Charizard launches the Inferno Overdrive, the flames sizzling and weakening under the downpour. The attack still hits Drampaw, but the damage is significantly reduced. Kiawe's eyes widen in shock. What? How did you? Rinto interrupts, his voice steady. Weather manipulation is a basic strategy outside of Alola. You rely too much on raw power, Kiawe. Battles are won with adaptability. Drampaw, though injured, stands tall as the rain continues to fall. Now Drampaw, use Hurricane, Rinto commands. Drampaw flaps its wings, summoning a massive storm that engulfs Charizard. The fire flying type struggles against the powerful winds, unable to maintain its balance. The attack lands, and Charizard crashes into the ground, defeated. The crowd falls silent as Kiawe stares in disbelief, his Charizard lying motionless on the battlefield. He recalls his Pokemon, his hands trembling slightly. I lost, he mutters, his voice barely above a whisper. Rinto recalls Drampaw and walks over to Kiawe, his expression softening. You're a strong trainer, Kiawe, but battles are more than just power. Experience and strategy are just as important. Kiawe looks up, his usual fiery demeanor replaced with a look of defeat. I thought I was ready, but you were on a whole different level. Rinto places a hand on Kiawe's shoulder. Learn from this. Adapt. That's how you grow. Kiawe nods slowly, his pride bruised, but his determination reigniting. I will. Next time, I won't lose. As Rinto walks away, the crowd erupts in applause, but Kiawe remains standing there, reflecting on the battle. For the first time, he realizes that there's a world of strategies and experience beyond Alola, and he's questioning his place in the bigger picture. With the first top 8 battle finished, the next 2 come rather quickly. The Alolan sun shines brightly over the Manalo Stadium as the crowd buzzes with excitement for the next sets of battles. The first match features Mina, the gentle fairy type specialist, facing off against Kahili, the fierce flying type expert. Both trainers step onto the battlefield, their determination evident. Mila sends out her Rabambi, its delicate wings fluttering as it hovers gracefully. Kahili counters with her Toucannon, the large bird Pokemon glaring down at its smaller opponents. The battle begins with Kahili taking the offensive. Toucannon, use Beak Blast, she commands. Toucannon's beak glows red hot as it charges towards Rabambi, but Mina is quick to react. Rabambi, use Quiver Dance, she calls out. Rabambi gracefully evades the attack, its speed and special attack increasing. Mina follows up with a Pollen Puff, Rabambi launching a glowing ball of pollen that explodes on impact, dealing significant damage to Toucannon. Kahili grits her teeth. Toucannon, use Bullet Seed, she orders. The barrage of seeds hit Rabambi, but Mina isn't phased. Rabambi, finish it with Dazzling Gleam, she commands. A burst of fairy energy engulfs Toucannon, knocking it out. Kahili recalls Toucannon and sends out her Steel-type Skarmory, soaring into the air. Mina, however, substitutes Rabambi for Gramble, the fairy type landing with a growl. Skarmory, use Steel Wing, Kahili orders. Skarmory dives towards Gramble, its wings glowing with a metallic energy. Gramble, use Fire Punch, Mina counters. Gramble's fists ignite as it swings, landing a direct hit on Skarmory and dealing super effective damage. Kahili's eyes widen. Skarmory, use Spikes, she commands. Skarmory scatters sharp spikes across Mina's side of the field, but Mina remains focused. Gramble, use Play Rough, she says. Gramble charges forward, slamming into Skarmory with overwhelming force. Though the effect of the fairy energy doesn't really have any type of damage towards it, the force sends the steel bird to crash into the ground. Gramble using its weight to its advantage. As Skarmory struggles back up, Mina quickly pivots back into Ribombee as it uses a Pollen Puff to seal the deal and secure the victory. The crowd erupts into applause as Mina smiles softly, her calm demeanor contrasting to Kahili's frustrated and respectful nod. As the excitement from Mina and Kahili's battle settles, the stadium prepares for the next match. Lana, the water-loving trainer from Melemele Island, versus Gary Oak, the confident, experienced researcher from Kanto. Lana steps onto the field with her usual quiet determination, while Gary Oak smirks, his trademark confidence on full display. Lana starts the battle with her Araquanid, the water spider Pokemon skittering onto the battlefield. Gary decides to send out his Arcanine, the fiery canine growling with intensity. Arcanine, use Flare Blitz, Gary commands. Engulfed in flames, the fire type charges as Araquanid. Lana immediately counters with a liquidation. Araquanid's water-covered claws clash with Arcanine's fiery charge, the two attacks canceling each other out. Gary smirks. Arcanine, use Extreme Speed, he orders. Arcanine blurs as it strikes Araquanid, dealing heavy damage. Lana, however, isn't giving up. Araquanid, use Leech Life, she commands. The spider latches onto Arcanine, draining its health. Gary's smirk falters. Arcanine, finish it with Crunch, he says. Arcanine does so, biting down hard, knocking out Araquanid. Recalling her spider, Lana decides to send out her Primarina, the elegant sea lion Pokemon taking to the field. Gary, confident, keeps Arcanine in play. Primarina, use Sparkling Aria, Lana commands. The water type sings a haunting melody, sending a burst of water towards Arcanine. Gary tells Arcanine to counter with a Thunder Fang. Arcanine's fangs crackle with electricity as it clashes with Primarina's attack. The two Pokemon exchange blows, but Arcanine's Thunder Fang lands a critical hit, leaving Primarina weakened. Lana's eyes narrow. Primarina, use Moonblast, she commands. This move catches both Gary and Arcanine off guard, as a glowing orb of fairy energy strikes the dog, knocking it out. Gary recalls Arcanine and decides that he's not going to leave anything to chance, so he sends in his Electivire, the electric type crackling with energy. Electivire, use Thunder Punch, Gary commands. Electivire's fists slam into Primarina, dealing massive damage. Lana and Primarina try to counter, using a Hydro Pump, but Electivire dodges with surprising agility. Gary smirks. Electivire, use Ice Punch, he says. The freezing punch lands, knocking out Primarina. Gary's Electivire stands victorious, its raw power and speed proving too much for Lana's water-based team. The crowd cheers as Gary adjusts his gloves, his smirk widening. Lana recalls Primarina, her expression calm but thoughtful as she nods in respect to Gary. The battles continue, each one more intense than the last, as the Manalo Conference proves why it's one of the most thrilling tournaments in the whole Pokemon world. And this brings us to the final battle of the day. Manalo Stadium buzzes with excitement as Professor Kukui steps onto the battlefield, his usual energetic grin plastered across his face. The crowd cheers for the beloved Alolan professor, known for his passion for Pokemon battles and his role in shaping the Island Challenge. Across from him stands Guzma, the former leader of Team Skull, his trademark cocky smirk plastered across his face. The two Alolan legends share a history, and while Guzma has let go of his past hatred for Kukui, he's still determined to prove that he's the better trainer. Alright Guzma, Kukui calls out, his voice full of enthusiasm. Let's see what you've got. I've been wanting to see the full power of the guy who's always said he doesn't need the Island Challenge to prove his strength. Guzma chuckles, his hands in his pocket as he steps forward. Kukui, you're about to find out why I'm the strongest trainer in Alola. I don't need no stinking trials to prove that I'm better than you. Kukui then decides to open up by sending out Braviary first, the majestic eagle Pokemon soaring into the air with a triumphant cry. The steel bug type's claws gleaming menacingly in the sunlight. Scizor, use Bullet Punch, Guzma commands. Scizor blurs forward, its metallic fist slamming into Braviary before it can react. Kukui, however, is unfazed. Braviary, use Brave Bird, he shouts. The flying type dives towards Scizor, its body surrounding in a flaming aura. The attack lands with a resounding crash, dealing heavy damage to Scizor. Guzma smirks. Not bad, Kukui, but Scizor, use Swords Dance. Scizor's claws glow as it sharpens its attack power, preparing for another strike. Kukui's eyes narrow. Braviary, use Close Combat. The bird unleashes a flurry of powerful strikes, but Scizor counters with Iron Head. The two attacks collide, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. Both Pokemon are left panting, but Scizor manages to land one final Bullet Punch, knocking out the flying type. Kukui recalls his bird, his grin never wavering. You're as strong as ever, Guzma, but let's see how you handle this, the professor says, sending out his Incineroar. The fiery wrestler Pokemon roars as it slams its fists together, ready to battle. Guzma's Scizor, though weakened, stands its ground. Scizor, use Bullet Punch again, Guzma commands. Scizor lunges forward, but Kukui is ready. Incineroar, use Darkest Lariat. Incineroar spins, its fiery fist slamming into Scizor and breaking through its defenses. The steel bug Pokemon collapses, unable to continue. Guzma recalls it, his smirk faltering for a moment before he sends out his Golisopod, the massive bug Pokemon towering over the battlefield with an intimidating presence. The crowd is on the edge of their seats as the final showdown begins. Golisopod, use First Impression, Guzma commands. The bug type lunges at Incineroar with blinding speed, landing a devastating blow. Kukui counters with another Darkest Lariat. Incineroar performs the same maneuvers that it had with Scizor just only moments before. Guzma Guzma's smirk again falters for a moment, but he quickly recovers. Golisopod, use liquidation. The bug type's claws glow with water energy as it strikes Incineroar, dealing significant damage. Kukui grits his teeth. Incineroar, use Flare Blitz. The fire type charges at Golisopod, its body engulfed in flames. The attack lands, but the recoil leaves both Pokemon heavily damaged. The tension in the stadium is palpable as the two trainers prepare their final moves. Guzma smirks, returns, his confidence unshaken. You're good, Kukui, but I'm better. Golisopod, let's end this with a savage spin-out. Guzma activates his Z-Ring, and Golisopod's body begins to glow with bug energy as it prepares to unleash the devastating Z-move. Kukui's eyes sparkle with excitement. Incineroar, let's show him how it's done with our power. Use Malicious Moonsault. Incineroar leaps into the air, its body surrounded by dark energy as it prepares to strike. The two Z-moves collide in a spectacular explosion of light and energy, the force shaking the stadium. When the dust settles, both Pokemon are still standing, but barely. Kukui and Guzma exchange a determined look, their mutual respect evident even in the heat of the battle. Incineroar, use Darkest Lariat one more time, Kukui commands. The fire type spins with all of its remaining strength, its fiery fist slamming into Golisopod. The bug type stumbles and collapses, unable to continue, as Incineroar takes a knee. The crowd erupts and cheers as Kukui's Incineroar stands victorious, its roar echoing through the stadium. Guzma recalls Golisopod, his smirk softening into a genuine smile. You're still the same old Kukui, huh? I guess I've got some work to do. Kukui walks over, extending his hand. You've come a long way, Guzma. That was one of the best battles I've ever had. Guzma shakes his hand, his cocky demeanor returning. Don't get used to it, Kukui. Next time I'm taking you down. The two share a laugh as the crowd cheers, the bond between them stronger than ever. With the end of day 2, things settle down as the sun's rays fade to moonlight. The Alolan night sky stretches endlessly above Kiawe as he sits on a cliffside overlooking the ocean, the stars twinkling like scattered diamonds against the deep indigo canvas. The gentle sound of waves crashing against the rocks below fill the air, but Kukui's mind is far from calm. His hands rest on his knees, his fingers gripping them tightly as he stares out over the horizon. The weight of his recent losses presses heavily on his shoulders. First to Ash, his greatest rival, and then to Rinto, a trainer who seemed to outclass him with ease. Both of them have traveled the world, learning new strategies, growing stronger, while Kiawe had stayed behind, tethered to his responsibilities in Lola. Behind him, his Pokemon stand quietly, their presence a comforting yet somber reminder of the bond that they share. Marowak leans on its bone, its fiery eyes reflecting the moonlight. Charizard sits on its haunches, its wings folded neatly, while Turtonator rests nearby, its shell glowing faintly in the dark. Salandit perches on a rock, its small frame tense as it watches its trainer. They can all feel Kiawe's turmoil, his frustration, his longing. They fought alongside him, trained with him, and now they share his quiet struggle. Kiawe's thoughts drift to Ash, the boy who had been his rival, his equal, had left Alola to continue his journey, growing stronger with every step. Ash has faced challenges Kiawe couldn't even imagine, and it showed in their battles. Ash had beat him with little to no effort, and though Kiawe had accepted his loss with grace, it had left a mark. And then there was Rinto, a trainer who had come out of nowhere, his strategies sharp, and his Pokemon even sharper. Kiawe had given it his all, but it hadn't been enough. The world was moving fast, and Kiawe felt like he was standing still. This is when the boy reaches into the bag that he brought with him and pulls out a small, smooth stone, its surface glinting faintly in the moonlight. It's a Charizardite, a gift from his grandfather. Kiawe turns it over in his hand, his thumb brushing against its surface. Grandpa said that to become the Kahuna of Akala, he had to leave the island. Leave Alola, the boy murmurs to himself, his voice barely above a whisper. He said that I needed to do the same. I needed to see the world, to grow much stronger, to understand what it means to truly protect our home. He gave me the stone, something that could one day help Charizard and me become stronger, but he died before he could teach me how to use it. Kiawe's gaze shifts to Charizard, the fiery Pokemon meeting his eyes with a steady, unwavering stare. Charizard lets out a low rumble, its tail flame flickering brighter for a moment, as if to remind Kiawe of the strength they share. The boy's heart swells with determination. He looks at Marowak, Turtonator, and Salandit, each of them nodding in silent agreement. They've always been by his side, through every victory and every defeat. They believe in him, even when he struggles to believe in himself. Kiawe stands, the Charizardite clenched tightly in his hand. It's time, he said, his voice firm, now carrying across the quiet night. We've done all we can here. The world is moving forward, and if we stay here, we will only be left behind. Ash, Rinto, they've shown me that there's much more out there. I want to grow stronger. Not just for me, but for all of you, for Alola. His Pokemon respond with a chorus of determined cries, their spirits ignited by Kiawe's resolve. Charizard steps forward, its wings spread wide as it lets out a mighty roar that echoes across the cliffs. Marowak taps its bone against the ground, the sound sharp and decisive. Turtonator's shell glows brighter, and Salandit leaps onto Kiawe's shoulder, its tiny claws gripping in. Kiawe smiles as he flinches, a sense of clarity washing over him. He looks out at the ocean, the vast expanse of water stretching endlessly towards the horizon. Somewhere beyond the horizon lies the world, full of challenges, new battles, and opportunities to grow. He knows the path ahead won't be easy, but he's ready. He has to be. And this is where we are going to leave things for now. So tell me, how did you guys feel about this part? What do you think about the structure that I've given to the Manalo conference and all of the combatants that I've included in it? Do you like the people that I've chosen, like having Gary O compete, considering he's here for a much more minute thing and trying to get the data for the Ultra Beasts? What about Ash? Who's going to be the opponent that he faces in the finals for his first ever title defense as the Alolan champion? Then let's not forget Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele. They seem to be up to something in the background. What exactly do they have in mind? And let's not forget the relentless teasing from Gary and the knocking at the back of Go's mind that's causing him to think that he should pay a little bit more attention to the Aether Foundation, which also includes Meowth, Marini, and Mimikyu. What are those three misfits up to? And how is it going to impact the finale and the events in the Sun and Moon arc of the PWC rewrite? Let me know your guys' thoughts, theories, and suggestions in the comments down below.